Welcome to Knicks Home Court with your host. My name is Greg Armstrong. This is episode number 46. The Kristaps Porzingis era has now begun. The unicorn will rule the garden. The training wheels are off. Okay, let me back up the truck. Let me explain what happened. If you haven't heard, I don't know how you didn't hear it, but Carmelo Anthony has been traded, of course, pending Monday when the league offices open back up, to Oklahoma City Thunder for Cantor and Doug McDermott, plus a Chicago Bulls second-round pick. Okay. Yes, that happened. That is what happened. Melo will be on OKC. They have their big three now. Westbrook, Melo, and Paul George. And funny thing I wanted to say about this is, what position is Melo going to play right now? He's going to play the 4. Most likely he's going to play the 4. The one he resisted for the Knicks. I mean, he can't play the 3. Paul George is not playing the 2. I doubt that's going to happen. I mean, I don't know who their 2 guard is, but hey, whatever. But I'll tell you, this is bittersweet. But let me back up the truck a little bit further. Years ago, this is nothing like the Ewing trade. First of all, Ewing was born. He was bred here. He was a rookie here. He was ours from the beginning. However, after the playoff runs, towards the end, he got a little disgruntled. And you know what? A lot of people don't realize we champion Ewing now, but I lived through that time. I was a grown man. I was in my 20s during that time. Right? Early 20s. And Ewing used to get shitted on. New York Knicks fans used to say he's a bum. He's garbage. You know why they used to say that? Because he wasn't Elijah Wan. Because he wasn't David Robinson. Because he wasn't Shaquille O'Neal. He was Ewing. And after all of them years of Knicks fans blaming him for everything that went wrong, and the Knicks never surrounded him with stars, he decided he wanted to leave. Knicks management at that time sucked, so they just traded him and got Glenn Rice back, which was a bad deal. Straight up. It was one of the worst deals the Knicks have ever done. Not because of just value, but he was coming off the salary cap. There was no reason to trade him to pay more money. That's when Knicks used to stay in salary cap hell. That was their thing. So fast forward to now, what I'm saying is this trade is bittersweet. It's a good thing for Melo, and it's a good thing for the Knicks. Sometimes you break up with a person, and it's good feelings. I know some of your guys who listen to this podcast maybe had a girlfriend where, it just wasn't working anymore, but you didn't dislike her. She didn't dislike you, but y'all be better off not being together, and maybe when y'all see each other in passing, y'all could be cool. Sometimes that happens, and I feel like this is what happened. Kudos and respect to Melo for wanting to come here and to trying to win here and putting forth a great effort, the best effort that he can do. He's not LeBron James. He's never been. He's never really been a good two-way player at all. Just an elite offensive player. And that's what he was when he came here. He was always respectful to the media. Didn't get in any trouble. So my hat goes off to Carmelo. I wish him good things in OKC. I'm rooting for him. I like Westbrook. I like Paul George. And this is the most talent he's ever played with. I like Steven Adams. They could beat you inside and outside now. I don't know how they're going to be defensively. But I like that Melo is going to actually have some talent around him. And the only thing I'm regretting as a Knicks fan is that we didn't get to see enough playoff Melo. Playoff Melo, that's what creates memories, when you have playoffs. And like the time when he went for 45, a crazy triple-double against Boston as soon as he got here. Or how he played in the year we won 54 games. He had an MVP season. We didn't get to see playoff Melo, who raises his game in the playoffs. He always has done that. Yeah, his teams hasn't won because he's always faced better teams. So now he has better players around him. Good luck to you, Melo. But I got to say this. You're not a Knicks player no more. So good luck to you, but also fuck you. No disrespect. But that's how I feel about anybody who is not on the Knicks. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a fan of the name, the Knicks, not a player. If Porzingis got traded tomorrow, good luck, Porzingis, but fuck you. You're not a Knick anymore. That's just how it goes. I wish you the best over there in the West. You're not affecting us, so good. I wish you the best. And that's it. Now, back to Porzingis. Training wheels are off, baby. What you gonna do? I expect Porzingis to get 20 shots a game. I expect him to average 25 points a game now. He's going to have to. I don't know if his body can hold up for an entire year doing that, but trust me, he's going to start off scoring a lot of points. But I want to analyze this trade a little further for anybody who tries to, on ESPN or anywhere else, who tries to shit on the trade. First, let me talk about something that I've been hearing Stephen A. Smith say, and it's so funny that he got an A with his name, and it's like, oh God, I don't want to disrespect the man. So he says, him and other people, but I'm putting his name on it because I just recently heard him say that Phil Jackson, he's going to go on and on in his rants. He's going to come on Monday and say, Phil Jackson hurt Carmelo's trade value. That is a crock of bullshit. Melo's been in the league for how many years already? 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever, how many it is? The GMs know his game already. How can Phil say anything again? Only thing that can hurt his value is an injury, or the other thing that hurt his trade value. You know the thing that really hurt Carmelo's trade value? He's getting fucking old. He can't move like he used to move. His player efficiency rating dropped from 22 to 17. That's a drastic drop in one season. He came off a knee injury 2 years ago. There's nothing Phil Jackson could have said to hurt his fucking trade value. These GMs, if they're doing their homework, most of them are, they already know who Melo is. It's not like, all right, so let's look at it the other way. Let's say, I'm going to humor everyone that's listening to this podcast. Let's say Phil Jackson was like, oh man, Carmelo's a great man and a great father, and he's a great scorer. We're lucky to have him, and it'd be nice to win with him. And then he gets on the phone and calls people and say, but you know what, we got to trade him. Like, once you're trying to trade a player, once they're on the block, their value starts to go down a little bit because teams want to win trades. Not only that, teams look at Phil Jackson like he's a dumbass. He's an idiot. The Knicks brass have been stupid for many years. He traded Tyson Chandler for Calderon. That's what hurt if you want to blame Phil Jackson for hurting Carmelo's trade value, I could tell you how he hurt his trade value: by being a shitty president. By trading Chandler for Calderon. Other teams are like, shit, I could probably give up nothing for Melo. Look what he traded him before. But it's not because he talked about Melo. That did not hurt Melo's trade value because teams know what Melo is. They knew what he was for years. It's bullshit. And the next thing, and speaking of trade value, so they're trying to make it, see, this is what I'm saying. Only in Knick land, when you hear Knicks beat writers or ESPN personalities, they're all full of shit when it comes to the Knicks. That's why I do this podcast. Now, they're saying the Knicks could have gotten more had not Phil Jackson said the things he said. So I said, well, let me look at the Jimmy Butler trade to Minnesota from Chicago. And let me look at the Paul George trade from Indiana to OKC. And I'll look at the Kyrie trade as well. Kyrie and Isaiah Thomas trade. And I'm going to compare to the Knicks trade to see if the Knicks got a decent haul compared. See, you can only compare it to other trades. You can't look at it. The same thing with Hardaway, with Tim Hardaway's salary. Everybody was saying, oh, that's too much money to pay Tim Hardaway. You have to compare it to players who are similar to him. That's how you know if a trade is good or not. That's how you know if a signing is good or not. You can't just look at it and say, oh, that's too much money. Or you can't just look at it and say, Kansas not good. That's not a good trade. No, you have to look at other comparable players to Carmelo, as well as the players they were traded for. So let's start with Jimmy Butler. Star player, all-star, two-way player, better player than Carmelo right now in his career, and younger player, still in his prime. I have to put that all out there because it's all true. So, he got traded for Zach LaVine. I think they flip-flopped their picks, so they got marketing, and Chris Dunn. So basically, Jimmy Butler, the all-star, in the prime of his career, got traded for two maybes and a question mark. Because Zach LaVine came off a big injury, so he's a question mark right now. And even before he was a question mark, nobody said he was going to be a star. They said he might be a decent player. Right? So let's go back to the Knicks. Cantor is better than all the other players in that. And he's better than Zach LaVine. Dunn in marketing is not proven yet. So the Knicks, and remember, the Knicks traded a 32-year-old on the last year of his contract because he can opt out after this year. They traded a 32-year-old who's breaking down, who also came from a team that's done nothing but losing. Chicago Bulls were in the playoffs last year. Jimmy Butler contributed to it, and all they were able to get was a guy coming off an injury in Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, who's unproven, and a rookie. Okay? So I think the Knicks did well with getting Cantor, McDermott, and a second-round pick. But specifically Cantor. And I'm going to tell you about Cantor in a minute, for those who may think Cantor's not better than those guys I mentioned. Now let's look at the Indiana Pacers. So they traded Paul George for Victor Oladipo and Sabonis. Come on. Cantor's better than both of them in this discussion. Yeah, I know we got McDermott as well. So that's a throw-in, you might as well say, and he's not a bum. He's not a bum. Cantor was a number 3 pick in the draft, by the way. He got drafted by Utah. He was a number 3 pick in the draft. And by the way, Cantor is also 24, so he's younger. I'm sorry, I was going to say he's younger than Jimmy Butler. He's young. Zach LaVine's about, 22 maybe? Cantor's 24, proven in the playoffs, proven scorer. Okay. Oladipo. Sabonis. Oladipo, I don't know what he is right now. I liked him in Orlando. I thought he was turning into a really good player, and they got a new coach, a new regime, and they just tried to change it up, and he didn't fit their plans. Orlando doesn't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Anyway, because I'm always of the type, if you have a good player, I don't care. If you have a good player, you just keep putting good players together and make it work. Don't get rid of a good player because he doesn't fit what I'm trying to do. That's just terrible. That's just terrible. Unless he sucks. And he's a good defender and a decent offensive player. But he's not better than Cantor. Let's be real. So that's 2 trades now where Indiana and Chicago Bulls have given up better players than Carmelo Anthony and gotten back less than the Knicks did. Let me move on to Boston. Now, Boston trade is a little different. See, Cleveland did well. I think Danny Ainge, I've been said it, Danny Ainge is overrated. I think he played his cards completely wrong. He could have had Gordon Hayward, Jimmy Butler, and the number 1 pick. Why wouldn't you do that? And you still could have had Isaiah Thomas. They literally could have had a starting five of Isaiah Thomas, Jimmy Butler, if they give up, say, the Brooklyn, because they could have easily got it. If they gave up Jay Crowder and the Brooklyn pick, they could have done that. So, I'm sorry about that if you heard that. My phone was ringing in the background. So, they didn't do that. So, they traded for Kyrie. They gave up Brooklyn's pick and their leading scorer in Isaiah Thomas. To me, they gave up too much. And Jay Crowder. To me, they gave up too much. If Isaiah Thomas is healthy, I believe they gave up too much. That's just my belief. So that's the one trade where I can say that the team trading the star player or the better player, and I don't know how much better Kyrie is than Isaiah Thomas right now. He's taller and he's healthy right now. I don't really know. Because Isaiah was the best player on a winning team who was the number one seed last year that went to the conference finals. Kyrie hasn't been the best player on the best team ever in his career. Just wanted to make that note. So basically, 2 out of 3, the Knicks did very well in this trade. And let me explain why. Kanter averaged 14 points a game in 21 minutes. There's a good and a bad to that. Over 36 minutes, his stats would come out to 24 points and 11 rebounds a game. Now, again, I'm against extending stats. I am against that. However, when you're playing 21 minutes to extend it to 36 minutes, maybe you don't have to go up to 24. You can at least say 20 and 9 is definitely reachable if he scored 14 and 21. Right? His player efficiency rating was 23. Why is that important? That is a star's player efficiency rating. I think that's the same player efficiency rating as Paul George and Jimmy Butler. I mean, I don't have time to look it up. If I'm incorrect, I'll say it on my next podcast, but I think they have similar player efficiency ratings. When you up and around the 22s, 23s, Melo's player efficiency rating for his career is around 21, 22. And by comparison, last year, Melo's player efficiency rating was 17. His lowest of his career. Also, Tim Hardaway's player efficiency rating was 15. Kristaps, I think, was 18. So basically, based on player efficiency, Kanter's going to be the Knicks' most efficient player this season. Well, coming into the season. So, the Knicks made a hell of a fucking trade. This was a great trade for the Knicks. Now, Kanter plays no defense. He's a terrible, terrible defender. However, he might fit in very well. He's a good rebounder. He's an above average rebounder. And he may fit in very well with Kristaps Porzingis. He may fit in very well with him because Kristaps Porzingis is a very good weak side defender. But he's a terrible defensive player, Kanter is. Because he was a scoring machine and he still only got 21 points a game. He comes in and gets buckets. But his defense had to be terrible for him to not even get 30 minutes a game. But they did have Steven. Remember, they had Steven Adams and Ibaka. Last year, they traded. Oh, they traded Ibaka before the season. They traded him before. I think they did. Okay, so they didn't have Ibaka. But still, they had Steven Adams, which really he could play 35 minutes a game because Steven Adams is very good. And the problem is you can't play Kanter and Steve. They've played Kanter and Steven Adams together, but that's really Kanter's a center. Steven Adams is a center. It wasn't a good fit. Now he fits. So I'm excited about Kanter. Y'all don't really realize. And I'm excited about the all-European Knicks, damn near. or foreigners Knicks, whatever you want to call them. So I'm going to talk about something else. I'm going to talk about the Knicks depth chart. So let's look at point guard. In no particular order. The way I'm going to name them, I'm just naming them. It's not alphabetical order. It's not by starter. I will talk about that after this. But I'm just naming the positions. And as the players come to my head, I'm going to say them. Chasson Randle, which probably going to get cut. Chasson Randle, Frank Ntilikina, Ramon Sessions, Jarrett Jack. That's their point guards. Shooting guard. Tim Hardaway Jr., Courtney Lee, Ron Baker, and Damian Dotson. Forgot about Damian Dotson. Small forward. Now, mind you, all of these guys are not going to come to... some of them going to get cut. Or they're going to go to Westchester. All right, so let's look at small forward. Lance Thomas, Michael Beasley, Kuzminskis, and Jamel Artis, a guy they picked up in the offseason. I think, was he their second-round draft pick? Or he was a free agent invite? But either way, he's going to be in training camp. Let's look at power forward. Now, that's one position that I realize that we're thin at. We're thin in power forward. You got Porzingis. The only true power forward on the Knicks is Porzingis, I believe. You could put Lance Thomas at the 4. You could put Beasley at the 4. And you could put Cancer at the 4 for short spurts. But I realize they don't have a real legitimate 4 player after Porzingis. It might just be Porzingis. But it still works because, again, you have centers you can move over there. You have 2 or 3 players who could play power forward in the pinch. One is Lance Thomas. Another is Michael Beasley. Don't forget that this guy is 6'9", Kuzminskis. But that's in a pinch as far as him. And I forgot, for small forward, also you got Doug McDermott. Forgot about him. Center position, you got Cancer. You got the Albatross. What's his name? Joakim Noah. You got Kylo Quinn. And Billy. I think they also picked up the center guy, he's definitely getting cut. So that's their depth chart. That's what they have. That's about almost 20 players. A lot of players. They're gonna cut it down. Now, as far as starters, I think that Jeff Hornacek. Now we can get into the grit. We can get into the real stuff. The stuff that everybody wants to talk about, like starting lineups and rotations. I'm gonna go through a couple of starting lineups. I don't know which one would be their best. I need to see them in the preseason because it's not just about putting 5 good defenders or 5 good offensive players or 3 good defensive players and 2 good offensive. It's not about that. It's really about chemistry. And what I hope that this Knicks team does, because one thing I'd say about this trade is the Knicks stayed young. The Knicks stayed young. Not only young, but they got young veterans. Yeah, you got the Jarrett Jacks and you got the Ramon Sessions. Yeah, you got the Michael Beasleys. Beasley's only 28. Yeah, you got those veterans, but you got young veterans. You know how important it is to have young veterans, players who've been in the league for a while, but still only 25, 24. That's good with McDermott and Cantor. And by the way, Kristaps is a young veteran too, because this is his 3rd year. He's becoming a veteran as far as that. He's a baby, but he's becoming a veteran. As far as their starting lineup, I want to see Ntilikina start at some point this season. It doesn't have to be in the beginning. So I'm going to give you somewhat of a hopeful starting 5. And, I'm going to adjust it as well. One starting 5 the Knicks can have is Frank Ntilikina, Tim Hardaway Jr., Doug McDermott. Yes, I said Doug McDermott. Kristaps, and Cantor. That offense would be potent. Off the bench, you got Courtney Lee, Billy Hernan-Gomez, Ron Baker, Dotson, who's also a lights-out shooter. The Knicks got a lot of shooters. Kuzminskis. I mean, the Knicks' depth is very deep. This play it like I said. Randall's getting cut. A lot artists. I like Jamel Artis. I think he's good, but I think he'll go to Westchester. I think Dotson may stick. He might stick because he's just really good. He got good size. He's a true shooting guard, but he probably could switch between the 2 and the 3. You can't have too many wing players. So that, because I know that they're going to play up-tempo, pick and roll, shooting threes on the fast break. McDermott, that's his thing. That's Hardaway's thing. That's Kristaps' thing. Then you're going to have the inside. One thing about Cantor is he runs hashtag to hashtag very well. He gets up and down that court. He doesn't play any defense. So, but that is an offensive team because only players on that team that play defense that's known for defense would be Ntilikina and Kristaps. All you need the other 3 guys to do is play team defense. I think Hardaway's capable of it. The other 2, I'm not sure. But if you want to mix and match, if you want at least 3 good defensive players, because Cantor's starting. He's starting over Billy. Sorry, folks, he's better than Billy. And he's only 2 years older than Billy. He's much better than Billy. Let's be real. I mean, I think Billy might end up being a star. Who knows? But Cantor is better than Billy Hernan-Gomez now. Right now. So, starting 5 again. Frank Ntilikina. This is a different 5. Well, not just a couple of players change. Frank Ntilikina, Tim Hardaway Jr., Lance Thomas, Porzingis, and Cantor. So only one I really changed was Lance Thomas, who's a very good defender if he's healthy. So therefore you'll have a good defender at the point, a good defender at the wing, a good defender at the 4, and then you have other people who are not so much good defenders, but they can possibly play good team defense in Tim Hardaway and hopefully Cantor. In every scenario I have, put it like this. I most likely want to see 4 of these players be on starting. Ntilikina, Hardaway, Porzingis, and Cantor. So it's all about the small forward position. Who's going to be their small forward? Now, if you want to opt for more speed, it's going to hurt your bench. But you got Dotson. If Dotson shows out, if Dotson comes in and has a really good preseason and sticks with the team and looks like he can get regular rotation minutes, you might be able to put Courtney Lee at the small forward position. Yeah, there'll be times where he can't handle it. I mean, the small forwards in the NBA are just off the charts. So there'll be times that he won't be able to handle the small forward position. But that gives you more team speed. It gives you more defense. It gives you more three-point shooting. It makes the team pretty good. So Courtney Lee might be able to put him in on the 3, which would be Ntilikina, good defender, Hardaway, average defender, Courtney Lee, good defender, Porzingis, good defender, and Cantor, poor defender. That might be, and it doesn't hurt the offense that much by putting Courtney Lee in the small forward position. It hurts the defense slightly if he has to guard like when they're going against Kevin Durant, you obviously start him, but then bring in Lance Thomas or somebody bigger. But the truth is, it don't matter who you put in with Kevin Durant. See, that's why I wouldn't even worry about it. Kevin Durant scoring on anybody and everybody. LeBron James is scoring on anybody and everybody. The best small forwards don't matter who you put against them. It really doesn't. Unless you got Kawhi Leonard. Anyway, I just want to say this. Is OKC contenders now? Hey, look, all I'm saying is don't sleep on San Antonio. Because if this guy is healthy after his ankle problems, I still believe that team, man, and that coach is the best coach in the league. Probably one of the best coaches ever, Popovich. Don't sleep on them. You know, I mean, OKC, I think they're going to be dangerous, though. It's going to be fun to watch. But I'm rooting for my Knicks. I'm looking forward to my Knicks. I'm looking forward to the Kristaps Porzingis era. Yes. But everybody's saying that the Knicks are going to be bad this year. Now, don't get me wrong. No matter what they do, is going to be a good thing for the Knicks. No matter what. If they really are bad, they're going to get a high draft pick. But I'm going to tell you, if they're really bad, I'm talking about like 20-game win season bad, that's really bad to me. Why? Because Porzingis is in his third year, not his first year. He should be good enough to get that team to the cusp of the playoffs. If we don't make the playoffs, that's all right. But only winning 20 games and he's healthy, that's something to be concerned about. So if the Knicks only win 20 games or 21 games, with Porzingis playing the entire season, we gotta hope we draft a franchise player, because you can't call yourself a franchise player and you can't get your team to 30 wins. I'm sorry. And I know they had Melo and they can only get to 30 wins. There was a lot of turmoil at that time. And you had a fucking you had a fucking president who wanted to be a coach but didn't want to coach because he had a bad hip. So he wanted the coach to be his damn mouthpiece. That shit was bullshit. But here we go again. We starting over. Again, I'm not accepting a 20-game win season from the Knicks. I'm expecting them to challenge for a playoff spot, even without Carmelo. Because again, if you traded Carmelo for Ryan Anderson, that would have been a fucking terrible trade. Terrible. But Cantor can come right in and put up some points right from the get-go. There's certain teams in the East he might even be able to dominate. He's good, man. You don't understand. Cantor is no bum. He's a good... Put it like this. If you can put enough defense around him and you can let him play 35 minutes a night, 34 minutes a night, he'll bring you back 22 and 10. Easy. Easy. He's an immovable object. Just think of he's Hernan Gomez with a little bit more athleticism. He's good, yo. He's good. We got a good player back. And McDermott, you never know. He's only 25. If anything, he could be a rotation player. If you run in the right system, running gun, and people are shooting, you need shooters. And we have some lethal shooters. I think that kid Dotson is a lethal shooter. I think McDermott is a lethal shooter. I know Kristaps is a lethal shooter. Hardaway's a lethal shooter. We got some shooters. And one thing that I know that Hornacek is going to do is he's going to utilize a three-point shot, which is the great equalizer for teams that are not that good. I'm going to tell you like this. Be on the lookout for the Brooklyn Nets. They're not going to make the playoffs at all, but they're going to win some games that people think they shouldn't win. Why? Because they're going to shoot a lot of threes. And one thing about shooting the threes is it evens the playing field. You can have less talent, but a lot of three-point shooters, it evens the playing field somewhat. You know. But anyway, this has been episode number 46 of Knicks Home Court. I am your host. My name is Greg Armstrong. And here we are. I'm excited. I was excited either way. You know, I was wrong. I thought Melo was going to be here. No harm, no foul. He really wanted to be out. More power to you. But I'm looking forward to the Kristaps Porzingis era and the young guns. We need a nickname for them. Put the nicknames in the comment section for the young Knicks. What we gonna call them? We ain't gonna call them the young guns. That's too old. Maybe though. Maybe the young guns, because they're gonna be gunning from 3. Anyway, again, this has been episode number 46 of Knicks Home Court. I am your host. My name is Greg Armstrong. Everybody have a good night. Peace.